Welcome, Divine Hearts, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Lois, and I'm an Ascension Guide. And a few years ago, I was guided by my universe to start to record conversations with light keepers from all over the planet, to allow others to share their experiences and their light wisdom on this platform, and to create, in a way, a living light library of conversations where all these light beings are sharing aspects of Source and their own incredible experience to create something quite special here. And so I'm delighted this week because we have a very special guest joining us, and he is William Linville. And William is an immense light being indeed. And his experience here in this body and on planet Earth is a little different to most of our experiences, because for most of us, we came in and began our experience as children, as babies, and then we grow and we expand with these physical bodies. But William came in a bit later in this experience. And so some may refer to this experience as William being a walk-in. And so I will allow William to explain much more about this experience in depth a bit later. But let's first just welcome William here to this space, and just say thank you so much, William, for being such a generous heart, being here with us.
Oh, it is truly such an honor and such a blast, Lois. So thank you for inviting me and having me and getting to play together and explore, dance together, and also playing with all of your multidimensional states, as well as the marriage, the integration of your higher levels, your creator consciousness, the facet of creator that you are, bringing it all the way down, not down from up to down, more down vibratorily into within and through the physicality, integrating, merging, marrying, and then expanding, speeding up to bring the body into the vibratory levels and frequencies and megahertz of light that is you, with the purification and divination, and also through the ascending in vibrational frequencies and megahertz of light, to where we have a full, complete marriage of you as you, rather than all of the lower carnal levels and frequencies that really have been taught, they've been identified with, they've been taken in and taken on to be perceivably who you are, when in reality, they have nothing to do with who you are. So thank you. This is truly an honor and a blast.
Oh, and for us too, William. Thank you so much. Well, usually when we begin these conversations, I ask everyone to begin in the beginning, in a way, to speak about maybe childhood memories or experiences of things that link up to maybe clues of who they became and who they have become. But your experience is very different, because you crash landed in a way into this body experience at a different time or space. So I'll just give you the floor to explore, to explain more about this and the experience that you came into.
Yes. Well, what occurred was my body, what I refer to the old will, the soul that had the body before myself, went into a surgery, the gastric bypass surgery, after having many heart issues and physical issues, weighing over 425 pounds. And we had connected 6 months prior, when he had attempted many times to step off the planet by his own hand in many different ways. And so during the surgical procedure, before, he had made resolution in his own way, saying goodbyes in his own way with all the dear ones around him. And he had a knowing that when you went into surgery, that he wasn't coming out. And so what happened during surgery he ended up leaving the planet. And I came in as he departed. It's basically somewhat of a high five. When he left, I came in with the agreement that I would pick up the body, clear out all of his guilt, his anger, resentment, his misinterpretations, his vows, his contracts, his agreements, all of his karmic debris, all of what had really led him to be in the state that he was in throughout his whole life stream and incarnationally from first separation to now, but as well as assisting him to make a full transition. So I came in, he ended up making a full transition, walked home with the ascended host, and the angelic presences and archangelic presences went through the halls of honor, made a full transition as I opened up my eyes on the 7th floor, looking out the window at the most amazing sunset over San Diego, California, on the West Coast. What's interesting, it was like the most amazing sunset in the first one I've ever seen, but the most amazing one I had ever seen. It was like a welcome to the planet, and then delving in to building up the body, building up the system to open, to move in and then clear out all the old debris, and then being greeted by his partner, his family monad, which means his mother, father, sister, brother, on and on and on. And taking that in and taking that on to really come to terms with, really supersede, embody, accelerate, to start clearing the decks. And that was when the body started going into shutdown, into breakdown mode, and where the body started having extreme pain, temporary blindness, and then went into a wheelchair for 2.5 years. And it was really interesting because through all that, I wasn't given like what was going on, like from myself as my higher levels go. It was more like, okay, all is well, all is well. But it was really the dying off of the cause, the core, the reckoning effect of all the old will debris, all the old will issues, all the way from the molecular, cellular, even soul level memories. And then there was a point where, I was in bed for like 2.5 weeks or so, just sobbing for no apparent reason, except I was going through one incarnation, another incarnation of the soul memories of the old will, where what led him incarnationally to be with the partner he was with, his soul group, his family monad. What that really means is the group of souls in which he was traveling with, mother, father, sister, brother, that he would continue to incarnate with. And then all the stuff that was stored in the body, stored in the molecular structure, stored within the karmic lattice work, and on from the very core of his being. And clearing it out of the mind, the body, and the aura, and out of the soul memories that was still there from the old will, and then going from there to clearing out the crystalline attributes and the crystalline structure of the body and the mind, to wait, and the subpsyche, the emotional calibrational lattice work, obviously the pain bodies, all these misinterpretations that he had experienced and that he had come to his own conclusions with, which were no more, it was kind of like judgment. The only thing it is, you build walls, you project, you command things to be a certain way, but it's all based in misperceptions by not knowing the whole truth. So clearing all that out, and then the heart opening up and becoming more in a state of understanding, clarity, and compassion. Of clarity of the old Will, what he experienced, plus the other dear ones that were involved. And step by step, over about 2.5 linear years of being in a wheelchair, on and off blindness, extreme pain, everything started turning around. Because it was really the dying off of, I mean, he didn't get to 425 pounds because he was bored. It was more about all the stuff that he had endured and all the ways that he was misinterpreted and where he took it.
No, yes. There's so much there, William, because for many of us on this journey of, we could call it many things, awakening, remembering, but you're seeing this firsthand in a new way because you're coming into another soul's legacy, in a sense. All the generational baggage, you see everything, but you didn't remember instantly in that experience, or did you? Did you get glimpses of the remembrances?
I did not remember at all, because you got to remember, I went from myself, and when I first, and all that is, and when I first opened my eyes, there was that beautiful sunset, which was a welcome to the planet, but there was also that sensation and feeling of home. But then from there, I call it the games began. Okay, here comes the partner. Here comes the siblings. Here comes the parent. Here comes all of the dear ones from the old Will live stream. Now, where I was concerned, it was interesting because I knew their names. I knew what part they played. But there was that part where there was no real engagement, no real attachment. There was no real, it's got to be this way, that way, or the other way. It should look like this, should look like that, blah, blah, blah. It was more like, I know your name. I know what part you play. I say part like, okay, you're the mom, you're the sister, you're the brother, you're the partner, you're the on and on and on, but not a lot of meaning behind it. It wasn't like I was shut down. It was more like being tossed into the midst of something where there wasn't emotion, there wasn't attachment, there wasn't blah, blah, blah. It was like just going to a party where you know everyone's name. You know who does what, when, where, and how, but you don't really feel that true connection with, heart level connection. I love them, but there's not the man-made dutiful obligation and responsibility. And it was somewhat bewildering for myself, but it was also bewildering for them because as things transpired, throughout the next 2.5, 3, 4 years, whatever, I had met with each and every one of them, the sister, the brother, the mother, his partner, on and on and on. And I technically had a one-on-one, and the last one was the mother. And I said, dear heart, do you know where your son is? And she said, yes, in the body of this dear one. And then she fell back in her chair, flabbergasted. But she knew. She knew, and even his partner told my partner, as of now, told my bride that she never really liked him anyways. So it was interesting, we met with them for New Year's or something like that one year, and we connected, socialized, did dinner, all that fun stuff. But it's like they knew that he was gone. As I met with each one of them individually, it was to assist them, not for me to say, yeah, he left the planet, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't for me to tell them what occurred. It was more for them to realize what is. And in their own way, they realized that he had left the planet. And they all saw, not because of anything I've shared, they saw that I was not him. And in their own way, their own journey, they reached their own point of clarity, realization, but also their own coming to terms with, which when I look at that, if you look at it with clarity for a moment, like even with your heart right now, in clarity above the solar plexus, above the emotion, blah, 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 you get to see the true gift, because as they got to see and resolve it within themselves, what happens in a family monad, it's like mother, father, sister, brother. It's usually immediate family. Sometimes it goes aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, whatever. But it's mostly the integrate mother, father, sister, brother dynamic that when one dear one steps off the planet and leaves their body, the magnetics of that matrix, which I call a monad, it collapses. The magnetic streams collapse, which gives everyone the opportunity. They feel, which is what's called grieving, but grieving is a very misinterpreted phrase because it's literally a magnetic disconnect from your solar plexus. So yes, it feels like you got sucker punched. It feels like a thud, because that magnetic stream is unhooked, unplugged, dissolved. So you don't have anything to plug it into. But then all these old memories that were there, they come up, they flood out because you're coming in. So all those old energies are moving out. And that's where yourself is coming in, embodying. So it allows that family monad or that matrix to come now, seeing each other side by side, as it was created to be, moving forth side by side, not in this cyclical matrix.
That's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Always, always.
Speak to us a little bit about, because then the body went through a shutting down, and that took time. And speak to us about that, because today you are so vibrant, and so there has been a complete transformation within the body and bodies for you. And so to speak about the process of the shutting down, in a sense, and then the building back up process.
Yes, the shutting down, it was interesting because before the old will went into the surgical procedure, the only physical symptomologies was he had some heart issues due to being so overweight. He was still mobile. His legs worked, everything worked, except he had, you know, I mean, obviously he was very heavy. It was creating heart issues. Now, it wasn't like a constant heart issue. It was just basically too much pressure on his heart. Now, when I went through the surgery, all was well. Okay, the body started trashing pounds, and then it started trashing pounds overkill to where from there the body ended up going into cardiac arrest. The body ended up eating itself away. So it started shutting down organs, and it got to the point where the last two organs to go was going to be either the heart or the lungs, based in medical science, in the medical field. Now, with that, the brain, I had received a Duragesic pain pump because morphine, fentanyl, sufentanil, and patches, nothing was working to curb the pain or even be able to touch the pain. And so they put a pain pump, a lot of experimental drugs. The last one was a derivative, I think it was like SR50 or something like that. They hadn't even had a name yet. It was derived from a snail, I think down in Africa, that if you stepped on it, you would become paralyzed because the poison would, paralyze your body. So they turned that into a pain medication. And that fried the brain to where I would say introduced myself several times, not realizing I did it once. And so that basically had the brain go into shutdown mode. No memory, no cognizant, which was pretty bizarre. And then off and on, as I mentioned, the eyesight and then the body, even when I would attempt to consume, it would be constant regurgitation. It would be constantly becoming demineralized. And even with many IVs, with vitamins and everything else, the body was just passing it through. And it was interesting because from there, and through that process, I got to face, let's say got to, because there's not one part I would change about it. I got to look at, for one, all the fears of the physical flesh. What if this? What if that? I was in diapers for eons because I lost the ability of my bladder and colon and everything else. And it is interesting because I was going to say I lost control because the body was doing its own thing. And it's interesting, right? Because if you take yourself through that journey, I'm sharing with you very much the stripping down of the physical, mental, and emotional levels, the subpsyche and everything else, total strip down. Anything that the ego could grab onto as reality was stripped away. Anything the ego could grab onto for comfort was stripped away. Even when trying to go to bed, laying in bed, even the sheets touching the hair of the legs was excruciating. So it wasn't like you could just go and sleep it off and live in bed. No, all these escapes were stripped away. And the point was the dying away of the cosmic recording effect, for number one, of all the old memories. Secondly, I would say just as important, if not more important, was the dying away of the ego. So, okay, I could take this, get a break. It's kind of like having a toothache, right? You pray, you seek, you search, you'll do anything and everything in that moment just to try to alleviate the pain. Now, it's like, well, what do you do when there's nothing? You surrender. And that was what the point of that was to surrender, to where, 8, 9, 10, 12 different times. Okay, Mr. Linville, there's nothing more we can do for you. You need to get your affairs. So it's like, all right, well, I figured, okay, well, if that's what's going to be, that's what's going to be. So this is before I was ever shared with what took place, before I ever remembered what took place, before I ever was greeted by the angelic, archangelic, or ascended host realms, before any of this was revealed of what took place. I was still in the midst of perceiving that I was the old Will. So the reason I wanted to share that part is that many have a lot of illusions about, well, you just walked in, it was so easy, and you didn't have any of this debris. No, the old Will had that debris, and I would say more than 3/4 of humanity. I mean, from God issues, his hatred towards God, his anger, and always felt like he was being punished, blah, 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 to, his endless ocean of guilt and everything else. And so this is before I was ever given a heads up of what occurred. So it's like, okay, well, if I have 6 months or 6 weeks or 2 weeks, then, well, I'm going to make the best out of what I got. So, I'm not going to go parasailing by any means, because I just couldn't. But, all right, well, what can I do today if this is going to occur? So that kind of started shifting a little bit to, okay, well, I can start to change the fuel system in the handicap van. I can wheel up there, open up the thing between the seats, look at, okay, where do I put these gadgets? And I could do something that productive rather than sitting and suffering. And then lo and behold, I would be up pretty much all night, just out on the front doorstep where the ramp came up to the front door, and I would just be out there looking at the star systems. And then what started to occur was the Pleiadians started to show up around. Secondly, Sananda. Thirdly, the Mother Mary, then the Magdalena, then the Cryon, the Ashtar, the Abraham collective, on and on and on, from Paramahansa Yogananda to the Krishna, the Buddha. They actually came before Paramahansa. I started receiving all these dear ones. They started letting their presences be known. The Orions, the Syrians. But it was one of those things, right, where it came from that accepting, okay, if this is what's going to be, it's what's going to be. If this is what's going to occur, it's what's going to occur. Now, the part that kind of amazed me was, it was an awesome learning. It's like an awesome remembering. It was like, okay, I have options here. I could sit here and struggle and try to fight and try to battle. But I knew that was only going to promote more pain, more torment. I can try to struggle, I get worked up, I can blah, blah, blah. And I also knew, okay, the more I go there, the quicker it's just going to speed things up. So the other option was, all right, creator consciousness, universe, if this was what is, so be it. So I'm going to make the best out of what I have left. I didn't buy into, okay, you have 6 weeks, you have 6 days, you have blah, blah, blah. I was aware, so my head wasn't in the sand like an ostrich. I was aware that, okay, I was told scientifically, medically speaking, facts are facts. The last 2 organs to go was either going to be the heart or the lungs. That's what MRIs, CAT scans, everything else showed from how the body was eating and so forth. So it's like, okay, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. Right now, I can breathe. Right now, the heart's beating. So it's going to be what it's going to be. And lo and behold, a few days later, not because I bought into it, I was just accepting, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be. And lo and behold, the body went into cardiac arrest, the dear ones in the ambulance came and blah, blah, blah. Went to the hospital and came out of it. And then went back to the handicap home and then, became really good friends with the fire department. Those people, so I'd wheel over there and go on tours with them. They would show me around. And so, everything just, good thing my body didn't fully close down, but it was that point. Once again, well, if this is the worst thing that happens, I'm doing pretty darn well, because I started figuring that, all right, if I leave the planet, I'll make a full transition at that point. So what's there to be afraid of? So I got to look at the fear of death. And it's not just the fear of like leaving the planet. It was the fear of, it's kind of like losing faculties, losing this, losing that. It's like all these ego fears of loss. And so I figured, okay, well, if I leave the planet, well, I'll make a full transition. I'll play elsewhere. So really, what do I have to lose? And so it was accepting that, all right, all is in divine order, one way or the other. If I stay, great, more to play with. If I don't, great, I'll play somewhere else. Like uncovering the phantom of the fear of death. And death comes like the no walking, no vision, none of this other stuff. That is all these, when I got to the core of it, it's like all this fear of being out of control, all these things about the whole polarized dualistic state of victim or victimizer. And not once did I feel like a victim. Not even from my body. And there was that knowing that, hey, you know what? All is well, all is well. And then I started seeing, hearing in the shower, this voice saying, all is well, all is well, all is well. And so I started going with that. I started accepting, all right, well, it's more about, okay, well, this is what's going on. What can you do about it? Well, nothing. So, all right, well, let's move on. Not giving energy to something that you don't have power over. And going with the unfolding.
And so the remembrance was a gradual process, but there was this awareness with you as well, because you were aware that, okay, if I leave, I will make a full transition, and maybe, so that's a wider awareness there already.
Yeah, that happened later on. So each and every step was a gradual. When I look at it now, not at the time, but when I look at it now, like in hindsight or from an overview, it was one wave of density leaving, more of me coming in, another wave of density leaving, more of me coming in, to where it allowed for the body to vibrate faster, but also for myself to start receiving more and more clarity within and through the process.
And it also made you a specialist in many ways because of this experience, this physical experience of seeing the body transform and feeling it and being with its present, surrendering to all of this, transformation from inside. It's huge. And so it's a huge gift that you are offering now in so many ways with this experience.
Yeah, and then the other part that I love about the experience is very, very literal, that if I can do it, so can you. I've been asked, well, why didn't you come into a perfectly healthy body? Blah, blah. Well, that would be missing 99% of the point. Because if I can do it, so can you. There's no reason why you couldn't. You don't have to do it as intense. Matter of fact, the veils are so thin that it's a lot easier now. And where, you can go there, you can let the body regenerate, you can go there, you can, really just dancing with yourself as a facet of creator that you are with the whole universe entirely. I call it kind of like, it's almost like an orchestra, a silhouette, a symphony that you're dancing within yourself, as yourself, with the whole universe all around you and with you. So it's a dance. It's a romance, it's a silhouette, and where you're not alone. In order, you have to be alone.
You have mentioned before, and it is in your bio as well, that you have transcended lower levels through this transition and transformation that's been occurring very physically. So I wanted to delve a little more into that as well, and also look at, we hear a lot about these words about the light body and the various light bodies. And I wanted to ask you, I know it's a big, long question, but you go wherever you feel drawn to, how you are enjoying this experience today within this physicality, how does it feel for you today with this lighter dance within yourself and deeper connection in this physical body of yours?
I'm having a blast. And, you keep running, flowing, moving. You're aware of so much around, and you're aware of this going on, that going on. And you assist where you can, and you assist where as things present, and you assist where dear ones are asking, seeking, looking. But the other part is that you don't jump into things you don't jump into scenarios where dear ones are not asking. You don't make things your business. Because that's based in judgment. Like this dear one, they're struggling by God to blah, blah, blah. That goes into the whole savior mode hoopla, which is all based in the ego. And when you can really step into seeing everyone as who they are, as creator incarnate, which they are, just everyone at different states of remembering, waking up, embodying, expanding, getting their own attention. Dear ones are going to show up, dear ones are going to ask, dear ones are going to seek when and as they're ready. The biggest thing is, all right, here I am. All right, family, bring it on, let's go. And keep me unfolding as quickly as I can for my highest, best good. Help me to love and not to judge. And hey, I'm available. So send forth those that are ready and willing. And from here, it's like we're not looking for fault. If anything, we're observing all the beauty and the brilliance. And where we don't see faults. We're not being ran once again through the emotional roller coasters, the pain bodies. Oh, poor this, poor that, poor Ukraine, poor Russia, blah, blah, blah. And, it's like, well, how's that affecting your coffee? I mean, honestly, why is that? Why is that your business? Are they asking for you to go over there? I mean, if it's really that important to you, join Greenpeace and go hang a banner or something over there. But if it's really that important to you, if you're feeling that called, otherwise, let's reshift our focus to how best can I walk my walk right here, right now. I'm not saying ignore it, and send them love, but let's not look for things to preoccupy you.
And I mean, that is so powerful. And there's many things there that you're pinging in my awareness. Now, you've mentioned before that we are here in a sense to remember that we are masters of love. And I love that. That's just so powerful and to the point. And you've also said also that certain experiences on the planet would not be occurring if there wasn't something that someone can learn from that experience. And so with that, sorry, you speak.
Wake up from it.
Yes. And so with that is such a release for many, to just start to expand and play with that. And also it allows for such deeper compassion to come in.
Yes. It reminds me, like right now, the latest and greatest is all the fires on Maui. The flowers are burning up. Many dear ones have left the planet, the trees, the tropical, the villages. Yeah, now we can focus on that and say, woe is, woe is, woe is, and get all wrapped up in the drama. Or let's step back, let's take a breath, and let's ask ourselves, higher levels, greater levels, manifest levels, greater consciousness as a whole, what is the benefit here? Now, we look at planetary shifts. We look at planetary changes. Things like this occur in the denser pockets of the planet. So, okay, this is where, in a beautiful opportunity to open up the hearts of the many. It's also an awesome opportunity that the hearts come together rather than being so segregated. It's also an opportunity to remove all the lack of integrity behaviors, crimes, drugs, blah, 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 and really bring the kahuna energy back together and getting their ones refocused rather than we have the inside group and the outside group to really open their hearts to welcome all concerned. To where now it's breaking up all these old paradigmal energies to open up, to become that much more receptive. And now, rather than just looking at a small tribal attribute, they can all turn around, look exponentially beyond the islands and welcome in the love of the whole universe rather than just the few. And it's also a burning away of all the old paradigms, ritualistic sacrifices that have played out, all these old paradigmal things that are playing out and dissolving the grid systems that have held things so isolatedly in place there.
And it makes me think too about the connection of us, ourselves, as we are transforming. Yeah. And as you were explaining about transcending the lower levels, and as each one or each dear light being is able to do this in their own way, how that is of great assistance too.
Yes, because here's the deal. Let's just say for a minute that we all commit to a couple things. Welcoming in the rest of yourself, walking your walk, being the light, the love that you are, being that of the marriage of you with yourself as creator expressed through incarnate. Now, if we all shifted our focus right back through your heart. And our main focus is walking our walk, which means of the highest of integrity to the best of your ability. Yeah, we're not becoming tunnel vision, but yet we're aware of everything, which I would hope would be a motivator to have you walk your walk even that much clearer, that much more passionately, to where help me to love and not to judge, help me to be the light that I am, which means if I meet for the with the family monad at Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving, whatever, when I meet with my siblings, when I meet with Brother Humanity, help me to be the light that I am. Now, for myself and all concerned. Now, if everyone did that on every level, at work, at home, family monads, their children, the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, oceanic realms, what do you suppose would happen to this whole world, the planet, and everyone on the planet? I mean, none of this havoc would be going on. The fear wouldn't even be a 4-letter word anymore because it wouldn't exist. Because you wouldn't be being hijacked by duality or polarities. And you would start opening up to become emanating, but also receptive to love. To love. Love is everything. At the core of absolutely everything, it is pure, clear particles of light consciousness. In all consciousness, at its core is love. Light. Light is love. Love is light. God is love. Love is God. I mean, whatever box you want to put it in, it's all one and the same. The dark is the dark. At its source, it's still light, which is still love. So if we all committed to that within ourselves, starting simple, help me to love and not to judge. If there's a judgment, if I'm getting irritated, okay, let's step back, take a breath. What is it within myself that this situation or this dear one is pushing towards me that I am perceiving myself to be threatened? Or unsafe? What's really going on here? It's not about them. It's what insecurity do I have that is hidden away, that's buried, that is wanting to come up for exposure so I can be free. Wow. Then ideally you give them a hug, you say thanks, and you move on with your day because they just helped you become freer. It's not about not liking them. It's more about, okay, wow, how blessed I am.
And you share opportunities for people to have one-to-one sessions with you.
Yes.
And also, I know that you have a new course that is up and running soon, and we'll speak about this in a minute as well. But share with us in your own eloquent way about creator consciousness and your remembrance, how you merged into this, or this remembrance came.
Well, it came in a lot of different times. Like, I'd say a lot of different times. And what that means is it came in more and more and more embodied, more and more powerfully. Once when I was still several times when I was in the wheelchair, but once that really stands out is when I was sitting by a pool overwatching the children, and there was one child in the pool that was maybe 3 feet tall in like 4 or 5 feet of water, looking up at me with their hands spread out, not understanding how to get to the top of the water. And I wheeled my chair in to the water and I held them above water. And without a second contemplation, not about contemplating how am I going to get out. It was number one, it's not a thing you think about. It's not a thing you contemplate. It wasn't about savior mode, goodwill, bad will. It wasn't even about a will. It was about, there it is, let's assist. And holding the dear one above water, not knowing, not contemplating if anyone was going to come. But sure enough, the kid's dad jumped over the pool fence, came in, grabbed the kid, and then pulled my body out of the water. When I rolled in, no one was around. But you see, at that moment, it was truly giving of my soul, my life, my work, my wealth, my mind, my body, and my world to assist purely this little indigo to come up for air. Now, the kid, they didn't have any clue what was going on. They just knew they were underwater and they didn't know how to get to the top, to air. They had no clue how to. Now, all the rest was in total divine order. But you see, it was truly giving of your soul, your life, your work, your wealth, your mind, your body, your world, to where none of those little things really mattered. Now, that's not about a good will, not about a bad will, not about sacrifice, martyrdom, blah, blah, blah. It was about the heart. And the absence of a little meaning. Okay. Now, then there was a huge, I'll call it like a quickening, where it came in, everything just became brighter, lighter, clearer, more vivid. And then that went to when another time when it had presented, okay, well, you know, it was like, all right, beloved, now it's time for your journey to begin. And that was after all this other stuff, rebuilding the body restabilizing, going to everything that unfolded, going to massage therapy school, getting licensed and all that. And it was right after that, starting, I kind of laugh, call it my own company, High Integrity Massage, but it's not really mine. It belongs to the universe. But from there, it's like, okay, and starting alcohol service, which is where I would go to people's homes, businesses, wherever, and set up my table and CDs, boombox, whatever. And in their place of comfort to do, it could be Swedish, it could be hot rock, it could be whatever sort of massage, shiatsu, deep tissue, whatever. But it started going into Reiki, then beyond Reiki, into energy work, and then beyond energy work, into the Akashic record realms, into binding out entities, energies, thought forms, into then someone started calling it a soul massage because it was clearing out all the debris, clearing out childhood stuff, clearing out incarnational stuff, whatever was presenting through their body. And then it went into their bodies just lighting up as a silhouette of light. And then anything that was not light, I would bind out. And so I started doing that. It's just, it continued to metamorphosize. And then from there, that's when my angel, my bride, presented. But at that time, it was, okay, well, now it's time to start your journey, which meant it's time to walk away from all the old will perceptions, all the old will realities. And I walked away from this big property and blah, 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 into a room for rent. And then my journey began.
I mean, there's so many awakenings on our journey. There's so many, and there's different layers and purposes to all of it. And I love the way how physically you were working in the beginning, physically on the body, doing these massages, and how it expanded into an energetic, sort of multi-dimensional experience, more and more, in a sense, and how you were working in that way. And then again, you know, how we are continually, I don't know if thrown is the right word, or seemingly feels like you're thrown into a new experience altogether. Then, you know, you were in this rented accommodation, you were explaining, so it was a completely new platform of experience again, because you'd reached a different frequency within yourself, and you were ready to experience a universe of these matching frequencies. Is that how you would explain it?
I would definitely call it that, as well as getting to that point of being open, receptive to anything and everything. It's like being on the top of the planet or in the middle of the universe. You don't really have an agenda. You don't really have, okay, it's got to look this way, that way, or the other way. It's more like, show me, let it present. And with the massage, one part about that, it was for myself, even with anatomy, advanced anatomy, and all these other things. A lot of that also was about myself experiencing and learning how to be in a body on a planet. So it was about body mechanics. It was about how to, you know, Tai Chi and all this other stuff, how to literally be in a body on a planet. It was like a crash course into how to function, and then also business, finances, the inner workings of business, and on and on and on. So it was more like I would still call it like a relearning versus because the old Will was into, he was on disability by the time he left the planet, but he was into more like the food and beverage industry, that kind of stuff. But it was more about, you know, dear ones were suggesting, well, go into engineering, go into be an electrician, on and on and on, all these high pay, whatever things. Like, well, no, that doesn't really call to me. And so I went with my heart and the Balanced Living Foundation, to where, okay, I'm learning how to be in a body, function in a body on a planet, and how the body works. So that alone was a whole different unfoldment to get moving, running, and flourishing all over again. So all of you, if you look at the big picture, it all served a major purpose.
Absolutely.
It's speeding up vibratorily with each and every step.
So if you are happy to share with us how you work today, and I know that you have a new course available as well. So to share with us what people could expect when they come and take part on this course.
Well, the way I work with people today is I go, you know, we get on the phone, and it's like you're already presenting beforehand from your light bodies, your presence, and we start connecting, and then I'm working with you from your higher levels. I'm working with you from the physical level, and I'm already starting to clear out debris. And then I go through your Akashic record realms, going through your mental bodies, your emotional bodies, and really starting to clear out the debris in your personal life, clearing out all your issues, blockages from this life, incarnationally, as well, all the vows, constituent agreements, entities, energies, thought forms, influences, interferences, and really starting to really bring forth and bring in more of you beyond all the chitter chatter in the mind, the subpsyche, the emotional bodies and calibrational lattice work, and really starting to speed up your vibratory levels, open you up, amplify you, and then assisting also with clearing out the pathways, portals, multidimensionally, all the way through the brain, the body, the mind, and then assisting with the marriage of the higher and the lower through your upper bodies, your lower bodies, and then from there, removing all the old energy, the old buildup, the old paradigm, and all these areas that have been blocked, and then clearing out all these blocked areas to where you can open up, accelerate, speeding up the ascension status, lattice work, and really simplifying, lightening up, and speeding up your journey, as well as the manifestational realms, as well as every level of your life stream, from relationships into welcoming in a beloved of your heart, not all this stuff based in past incarnations, but more shifting and assisting you into more of a new beginning, a new paradigm, and really into you receiving all the gifts the whole universe has to offer and your natural birthright. Now, with the course is, it's like a 3-month, it is a 3-month event. And, the first month's going to be about embracing and becoming yourself as creator incarnate. The second month, reclaiming yourself, resolving and dissolving misperceptions of yourself. The third month is accessing and connecting with your higher self, your guidance realms, and your knowingness. And it's a comprehensive course, which is over 25 hours of live content. It includes the best of our library and practical practices, Q&A, and much more. And we're going to cover topics, many topics. This time we're adding the alchemizing fear and lack into light and abundance. And that is abundance of love, abundance of money, abundance of joy. And it's not just those feelings, it's more situations as well, and welcome them into your live stream. And then, we're going to get into some of the to know and experience, divine parenting and guiding with little ones, even from the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, oceanic realms, and with your friends and everything else. And also to experience how to be in an intimate, loving relationship with yourself, your family, and friends, and everyone and everything in the world, with complementary and long-term beneficial outcomes, to where from here, really rising above, skipping all the cat fights and all that fun stuff that is so taxing, and really skipping beyond, rising above all the energetic games. And then how to be clearer and more selective to what you're going to give energy to, and, become more aware of what deserves your attention, rather than giving all this power to all these different things by default. And also to have more fun than ever, which is getting back to the original definition of enlightenment, which literally breaks down to the absence of density and to become lighter, brighter, which goes into enlighten, which is dropping the debris, and to remember how to be okay with what is, rather than letting the ego take you into a dualistic, polarized state, good, bad, right, wrong, blah, 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 all these things that, that are taught, but all these things that keep you stuck, held down in a dualistic, polarized state that become draining, but it's like where you put all these walls up around you by default, and then bringing all of your, it's interesting because judgments are misperception, and it's bringing all these misperceptions into clarity and understanding, and then transcending from the root chakra vortex, your crater chakra vortex, the solar plexus, transcending all those lower levels up through your heart to bring your heart down through all those lower levels to where we have one one embodiment of you rather than all these split identities of yourself. So we're working with really having one of you rather than there's you at work, there's you in a relationship, there's you as a friend, there's you as an XYZ, divine feminine, divine masculine, really bringing in the wholeness of your being. And then how to watch situations occur outside and around you rather than acting and overreacting to them. And once again, that goes back to being able to see, become aware of without so easily giving your power away by default. And then, to feel more love and express your radiance in your presence and embodying it throughout each and every moment, each and every situation, throughout every, really 24/7, and a true vibrational increase through your body that comes up and through your mind, and a beautiful state of purification and divination within you, and to know yourself as a facet of creator consciousness and embodying that, and much more. I'll stop right there before it gets overwhelming.
It's so immense, though, and what a gift! What a gift and an opportunity that is just, I am sure that.
Yeah, and a lot of interaction.
Yes. And I know too that what part of it I was listening to you explaining what was going to be happening in this course as well. I love the Trinity aspect of it, where you will be bringing people together in threes so that they can work together as well, and that you're looking at frequencies that can be of assistance to that Trinity group. And also this being transparent, this being willing to receive clarity and to share clarity, and not be not in a judgmental way, but to be willing to expand and hear truths. Let's say.
And not a competitive way. It's more like,
yes,
what are you receiving? Okay, this is what I'm receiving. And it's more being able to share, express, to complement one another. Not playing the Enlightenment Olympics, being able, there's going to be a WhatsApp page and all these things where you can share individually, but also with your triad, if you so choose to be in one, where the reason why we create these things is there's so many dear ones, that are waking up, even so many dear ones that are awake, that are walking around believing and perceiving that they're on their own solo journey. There's no one they can talk to, resonate with, whatever. But these are opportunities for you to connect with others that are walking their walk, that are in their heart, of like heart, rather than just like mind. Other dear ones that are more, it could be more of camaraderie with you side by side. And the idea also is that even when the course is over, that you're not alone, and hopefully you exchange numbers, emails, whatever, to where you can further enjoy more and more communion, community in friendships and camaraderies.
Well, it just sounds perfect and beautiful, and also very indicative of unity consciousness itself, really creating these little pockets of consciousness together, working together from a space of the heart, which is just pure and beautiful. So, William, you are a gift, and it has been a gift for me and such a blast for all of us to be able to experience you here in this way. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, and you too. And you are such a gift. And thank you for this beautiful, wonderful opportunity. It's been truly an honor. So thank you so much, Miss Lois.